The Aussie Grand Prix. Yes, what a race. I don't know why some of you miss my podcast and my predictions. It's not always right, and you're on your own when you go for it naturally. But sometimes I look at a lot of things during the practice session and the qualifying to determine what I believe would happen. And most times it turns out to happen. And I'm so happy that we had a great race today, and I'm sure a lot of F1 fans are happy. A lot of people are thinking people that are happy are anti-Lewis fan. No, we want racing. I love all those drivers, not just as a commentator on F1. And I'm so happy that it's not about Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, even about Red Bull and Mercedes today. I'm happy it's all about the remaining teams. It was exciting, it was nerve crushing and great. Seeing Max Verstappen out in lap 4 was one of the worst things. I knew if he was not out, it would have been a Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, or Ferrari, Ferrari, Red Bull podium. I knew there would be 2 Ferraris, 1 Red Bull, 100%, because the race pace of the Ferrari, the Red Bull cannot handle it. The Ferraris have been on fire since Friday morning. They've been pushing their car to the limit. They've had the best race pace. They are close to 710 per lap on the Red Bull in race pace. The only place the Red Bull could have covered them would have been the straight. But one thing is, if they are able to overtake the Red Bull on the fast corners, forget about the straight. The Ferraris will defend with their life. That is all they need. The Ferrari team really improved. They came up with a better package. They are coming up with an upgrade in Japan, an upgrade specific to the track. And in Imola, they will be coming up with a better upgrade, with a full packaged upgrade that will look like something like the Red Bull of 2023. And I think that will spark it up for them, because with what they have now, you need to understand that the ground effect is really working for them. They've really gotten their floor to give them what they want. They're always tweaking. They tweaked that floor for the Australian Grand Prix, and it worked for them. Some people say Max made a mistake. That was why Carlos Sainz was able to overtake him. No, it wasn't the mistake. Carlos Sainz was on him. It might take him 2-3 laps, but he would have overtaken Max. Anyway, he would do it. The Ferraris were just fast. And kudos to Carlos Sainz. Let me say this. Kudos to Carlos Sainz, coming from an operation, and whenever he gets into the car, he feels so comfortable. He feels so great, and he did a very, very great work, a very, very great job today. And that brake issue for Red Bull, I think, was on since before the race, and I think they could have done something about it. But why do you think they didn't do anything about it? They thought when they get into the race, they'll be in front, they'll be able to manage the pace, cooling will be there, and there won't be any issue. But unfortunately, he will be running in Carlos Sainz dirty here, and immediately he ran 1 lap in Carlos Sainz dirty here. Boom, it went. Yeah, it has been there, like I said, but running in Carlos Sainz dirty air, that is all that he needs. The overheating of that brakes will come up. But if he was running on his own, nobody's dirty air, clean air ahead, whoop, it would have been a clean swoop for them. That is it. They had the right strategy, but their car was not just working. And if you look at it all through the weekend, except for the qualifying that Max Verstappen was able to pull the lap together, and that was due to 2 things, I'll tell you, because the car came back to him. The air was mild, was cool, and the wind worked well with him around that point, and he was able to pull it together. And Carlos Sainz was also able to pull his lap together, but there were some places he was losing, especially on the straight. But Charles Leclerc was unable to pull his lap in. That was one of the reasons why he got the pole position. If you look at it, they struggled all through with understeer, and in the race they have oversteer. Yes, the Red Bull struggled all through the weekend with understeer, and in the race they were having oversteer. So that understeer really affected Max Verstappen, and the person that suffered the understeer most was Perez. Sergio Perez suffered it most, and what a race, what a race. And to Mercedes, they are still looking for what happened on Lewis Hamilton's car. What happened on Lewis Hamilton's car? You lost an engine, and I think you're losing trust. Yeah, they're already losing Hamilton, and they're losing trust. Yeah, because this is the first time I'll be seeing a Mercedes engine go poof during a race. Not going in flames. There's a difference between an engine going in flames. The engine just went out, just shut down. Boom. As in the car was going, the engine shut down. Boom. There was nothing on the engine again. It was not working. It just went out. That was what happened. The engine went out. Poof. The engine had caught fire like poof. If the transmission had caught fire, it's a different ball game entirely. If the shafts or the pistons had pulled out, it's a different game entirely. You understand? It's just like it just went poof, as in like that. So I think there are lots of things Mercedes need to work around. They really need to get their asses around what is happening to them, because they are confused. I said it at the beginning of the season before the W15 came out. Immediately, Lewis Hamilton switched to Ferrari. I said that Lewis Hamilton already knew the car coming out this year is going to be rubbish. And I think this car coming out this year is worse than the W14 and the W13. If they had come up with the W14 and improved on on, it would have been better. The only thing they needed to do was to move the seat back and continue with that philosophy, but this is worse. They went back to the floor in testing, which was more better, but they're still far off. Like I said, they're just coming up with the regulation car and they're just learning. So this is Mercedes 2022. They just started their 2022. Maybe next year they will move into 2024, or they will fully move into 2025 when the regulation is closing. Well, we don't know. They are just far behind. And like I said, and I've said it, the only grace they are having in pushing that car into top 10 every race possibly is because they have two great drivers in Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. If they don't have those two great drivers in Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, they would have been nowhere. I'm telling you, that car would have been nowhere. Pedigree of the team shows they are meant to be far ahead, but the car is far below par. I think Mercedes have a lot of things to work on. They're still far off. They're not close at all. And also, looking at Sauber, the cross-tread again, and all their pit stops were just hampered by the cross-treading, and they wasted a lot of times. And if Formula 1 is in milliseconds and Sauber team are running it in minutes, oh god, they're nowhere near. I love what happened in this race. The tire they used, the C5, C4 and C3, really made the race very interesting. Now, with Ferrari being able to get ahead of their tire struggles in 2023, they've come up with a good car that can now manage tires, and all through the FP1, FP2, FP3, we can see them managing their tires. They had less graining, unlike other teams, especially unlike Red Bull that had known how to keep their tires very well from 2020 to 23, and they said they have it under control this year. But the graining on the Red Bull is much, and that is one of the reasons why they had overheating on their tire. Immediately the tire on Max Verstappen's car went poof. Other teams really looked into tires and they were like, let us just change these tires, and they changed the medium tires because they were not working. Their tires were the best tires for the race, but they need to run either medium or soft tires. They got the tires out, and I think their tires worked very well, but the medium tires on the Ferrari worked very well, especially on Carlos Sainz's car. And we'll say it will work on Carlos Sainz's car because it was in front, fresh air, no dirty air, cool air, and he was doing his thing, which is perfect for him. And I think Ferrari, they did a good job. Also, Ocon too had brake overheating issues, especially on the rear of his car. They had to allow the car to breathe. They had to remove some brake stuffs on the car for it to be able to breathe. And I can see Sergio Perez front wing being corrected every time he pitted for the airflow, and that was funny. And I think I need to know what Red Bull were doing correcting Sergio Perez's front wing. I'll go and check, and I'll give that to you in a short or in a full video that will contain a whole lot of things that will be talking about correcting his front wing. And also to Alonso and George Russell, I think Alonso tried doing the same thing he did for Hamilton in Abu Dhabi, and I think he should have gotten more than the 22nd time penalty and the 3 penalty points on his card. I think he should have gotten more than that because he really put George Russell's life in danger. That was harsh, brake testing him, and I think stewards should have looked at it also in Abu Dhabi because he did the same thing in Abu Dhabi last year. That's 2023 Abu Dhabi, he did the same thing, and they should have looked at it that same way. But they got it right this time, but they didn't get it right in Abu Dhabi. That time in Abu Dhabi, Lewis Hamilton had experience to understand what he was doing, and he didn't put himself in danger. Unlike George Russell, that is young and he didn't understand, and he was caught up in that wind. And we thank God he's alive and everything is okay, but that is too dangerous from an experienced person like Alonso. I'm hopefully hoping there will be more of this kind of races all through this year. The remaining races of this year will be filled with Red Bull and Ferrari and possibly McLaren. McLaren are living up to the task. They are doing it well. They are very close, and I think it will be a wonderful season if this course of races. Mercedes are just out there. Like people said, I thought they could be in top 3 this year, but Mercedes are not in top 3, and they are still thinking the championship is not off. Somebody should wake Toto Wolff up and tell him it's over. Yeah, it's over. Up on to the next one. I love you guys. Thank you. Bye. Chee.